Let's welcome in our morning guest. Gaurang Shah is now with us. Vishal B. Malkan is also with us. Gaurang, you just heard the Yes Bank numbers and details. Do you think a significant decline is a buying opportunity?
I think if you get it, it will be a great buying opportunity, Pankaj. And even yesterday when IndusInd Bank came out the numbers, when the markets were trading, you saw the knee-jerk reaction and a recovery. Now, you don't have
about IndusInd.
Yeah, so I'm talking about both. So today, if you get that similar kind of downtake on Yes Bank, like we saw yesterday on IndusInd Bank, I think it's going to be a great opportunity. As a disclosure, we do have positive coverage on both, and not to forget, Pankaj, one-off quarter of a little bit of elevated numbers as far as the gross NPA is concerned, net NPA is concerned, provisioning is concerned. I don't think it's all that alarming. But yes, the number in terms of uptake is what I would say it will concern me if I'm a short to medium term kind of an investor. But long term, I think these are great banks. Quarter after quarter, over the last almost 15, 16 quarters, they have been delivering great numbers and raising the bar of the performance. And post the verbatim of the management of IndusInd Bank, of course, remains to be seen what Yes Bank management has to say. But nevertheless, I think there's going to be great growth opportunity as far as the retail book is concerned. Exposure to one or two vulnerable sectors is a cause of concern, but I guess government policies, if the state of affair of these sectors improve, definitely the recovery process of the banks will also improve.
Right, but these are banks which have great record and they don't have legacy issues like Axis Bank or any other bank. So do you think that markets may not actually see a big correction in these names? They may give that one-off quarter to them?
Well, I hope not, Pankaj, and that's what exactly I said, that I hope not. But, market always reacts, that's what you saw yesterday also in IndusInd Bank. Numbers came out, suddenly there were flashes that, oh, these are not great sort of numbers. Then the fine print comes and then the disclosure comes that one-off provisioning is what led to the kind of, and then you saw the recovery. And today, I guess, as pre-open suggests, you will see some grin take on IndusInd Bank. And Yes Bank, I don't go by whatever is being displayed on the screen right now, 10% down, 160.
But that's the pre-open.
And I always give a laughable credit to the pre-open, Pankaj, to be very honest with you. So, any downtake, whether it is 60 rupees, 100 rupees or whether it's 20 rupees on Yes Bank will be a great buying opportunity for long term.
Vishal, what is your call on Yes Bank and IndusInd? Charts of both these counters have been pretty good.
I think, what I will agree with Gaurang, and I think any downtake can, from there we can take a buying support. Something like Yes Bank, I'm looking at levels of around 1560 to 1570 as a good support. If it holds there and again forms a bullish pattern, then we can definitely get into it. At the same time, IndusInd Bank, I'm looking at levels of around 1340 to 1360. Which would be around good support. So another 4 or 5% from here would be definitely a good pick for both of them.
Vishal, what are your top picks for the day?
I'm going with Voltas as a buy, and Voltas, which is looking good on taking support at an important level of 400, not going below 400. Yesterday also formed a good bullish pattern. So I'll go with a buy on that with a stop of 402 for targets of 445 to 455 in the next few days. And again, I'll go with another outperformer, which is CESC, which is given a good breakout yesterday with good volumes and good patterns on daily, weekly charts. So I'll go with a buy on that and stop loss of 875 or targets of 950 to 960 in the next few trading sessions.
All right. So CESC is one that has seen a very good move coming in a day earlier. Gaurang, I wanted to ask you about Sun TV. Sun TV had a blowout move. For the last two sessions, it's gained a lot. And even in the, if you look at the entertainment space, a stock like Zee has also done well, though it's come off the highs. Now, how do you approach some of these media stocks? Because some earnings coming in, and there has been a little bit of a demonetization impact, which is being seen on the ad revenues. What would you do with stocks like Sun TV and Zee?
Lavisha, to be very honest, I think demonetization is now a history, a thing of the past, and we have to talk about remonetization. And if I have to just reflect upon that, and if you remember and recollect, post 8th of November, there were a lot of wise mind and advices that came out that demonetization will lead to a disaster and third quarter would be a total washout, etc., etc. But when the numbers came out for third quarter, there was not a huge downtake as far as the earnings visibility is concerned for some of the sensitive or vulnerable sectors, if you may. And equally optimistic we were of the third quarter, and equally optimistic we are of the fourth quarter and the coming quarters to come by. Having said that, on Sun TV, well, there are a couple of things which are going in favor of Sun TV. Of course, one of the great numbers that they came out with. Second one is the political development in Tamil Nadu. I think that is tailwind positive for the owners of the Sun TV, Marans. And in case if the troubles have to deepen and there are concerns on the AIADMK front, then definitely there is sentiment positive for Marans and of course for Sun TV. But purely not going political. On fundamentals, well, yes, digitization is something that we are extremely positive over the last almost 12 to 16 quarters, and we have remained positive on Zee Entertainment and Sun TV on both. Upgrades have come in post the numbers for Sun TV, and if Sun TV has done what they have done, then you can very well imagine what Zee Entertainment can do. So we remain positive. The only thing is after yesterday's number and uptick, if you want to make a fresh investment, just let it cool off a little bit and buy it at lower level. But on Zee, even at current CMP, you can definitely go and buy.
Right, just to say what Gaurang was talking about. So yesterday the stock was up 5.3%. There was a great open interest build-up of around 10 lakh shares, which means that there was a lot of long build-up that happened with the price movement and the volume movement that you have seen. And last 3 months have been great for Sun TV. It's almost gone up around 58%, and that's not the sort of earnings upgrade that you have seen. But probably the Tamil Nadu news flow that came in regarding digitization that has led to upgrades. There are two upgrades which have come in for Sun TV. So one is by CLSA. They have upgraded it to a buy. Earlier their rating was sell. Target price for Sun TV is at 1,015 rupees now. That's by far one of the biggest target price that you have seen. Digitization, which will roll out in Tamil Nadu now, will be one of the key triggers for the earnings of the company. Credit Suisse has also upgraded it to an outperformer. Their new target price is 1,000 rupees. So that's also among the aggressive target prices that you have. Still a 20% upside is what they believe can happen. Tamil Nadu digitization, IPL team and the valuation over there will also drive the upside versus the street. This is all not considering that the ad rate is growing or ad rate is set to recover. So that is something which the street is not building in. If that comes in, it would lead to further upside on the street.
And we also had earnings coming in from IndusInd, and now we've got reactions coming in from Brokerages. Plus, let's talk about their growth plan for the next 3 years. IndusInd has said that they expect to double their loan book as well as customers over the next 3-year period. So by 2020, they have a huge target. IndusInd Bank is planning to add 800 branches by FY20. They are aiming to increase their retail share to 50% from 40%. Currently, the mix is 40-60 between retail and corporate, and want to make it 50-50. They expect the share of retail, they expect share of within retail at 30%. And when it comes to non-vehicle retail, it should be around 50%. So they are looking at growing the retail book quite aggressively. Now, brokerages have come in with their view on IndusInd Bank. Macquarie has not cut its EPS for IndusInd Bank, and they have a target of 1,625 rupees a share. Morgan Stanley has cut its EPS estimate by 1%, giving a target of 1,600 rupees a share. Credit Suisse has given a target of 1,650 rupees a share, and Deutsche Bank has given a target of 1,600 rupees a share. So those are some brokerages coming in with a view on IndusInd Bank.
So Anisha, post these two numbers and the similar trend that has happened, other banking analysts have also written about other companies or what they imply of these two companies' results. So what CLSA is asking is that there are certain questions that needs to be answered. Is this AQR or mini AQR restricted to one or two accounts, or is it a broad-based sort of a recognition that is happening? If broad-based, will results into loss for PSU banks, will results into losses for banks like ICICI and Axis Bank. Yes, and IndusInd, of course, have seen an increase in the core slippages, which, of course, is showing a conservative stance. Morgan Stanley has released a tactical note on all the banks that they cover. So PNB, they expect prices to fall relative to the industry. This will be based on Q4 numbers, which are expected to be weak. Similar is the case for SBI. According to them, the prices or the stock should underperform in the next 30 days. Street is estimating about 11,000 crores of slippages without any major NPL being formed, a major account slipping into the non-performing assets. For ICICI Bank, the street is building in 7,700 crores of slippages. So again, these are are tactical calls that have come in, and they are now expecting these banks to also underperform based on what Yes Bank and IndusInd Bank has done. However, they have not downgraded IndusInd or Yes Bank, but these are names that they were already negative on. Gaurang, do you think that other of these banks would be interesting? Because here, for Yes Bank, you started by saying that, you know that NPA problems are very limited. But for other banks, if it is a broad-based sort of a recognition that they have to do, then it could again wipe off their profits, which has been the case.
Well, concerns are, especially for Axis Bank, because the third quarter numbers that we saw had brought in a little bit of more concerns and negativity. But I believe the confidence in the management in terms of their verbatim post the third quarter numbers were extremely strong and positive. So is the case for ICICI Bank. And these two private sector leading banks have been laggards if you actually go to see, even when you compare it with HDFC Bank or a Kotak Bank or even a mid-cap bank like IndusInd Bank and Yes Bank. So the numbers would possibly give you a detailed story. But as you alluded to, Pankaj, in case if there is broad-based problem, then I think the recovery process might just get pushed a little bit further. But whether you should take a call to exit, I don't think so, because from a long-term perspective, we remain positive on both ICICI Bank and Axis Bank.
All right, Reliance Industries is also going to be in focus because they've completed their Dahej plant in record time. They've commissioned the ethane import project at Dahej. This is largely in line with RIL's March quarter guidance. They had guided for this completion. The project has a total investment of about $1.5 billion, and Citi is saying that the project could contribute about 30 cents to EBITDA savings for Reliance Industries. Reliance is going to come out with its earnings on April 24th, and we are expecting some more on project commissioning. We expecting some announcements to be made, and this street is awaiting clarity on two big projects that Reliance is undertaking. And these two projects will comprise 70% of the incremental EBITDA growth. Of course, it will also entail capex, and that is something we'll be watching out for once the earnings come through.
Right. There are a couple of other stocks that will be in focus. So there have been some F&O additions that happened in the previous series. There are another few set of them which got released yesterday. So you have Balakrishna Industries, which will be in focus, NBCC, Mahanagar Gas. Some of these are new listed companies like Mahanagar Gas, Berger Paints, Canfin Homes, Cholamandalam Investments. Some of them have been great outperformers as well recently. Gujarat State Fertilizer, that's a GSFC, MCX, and Nestle India. Nestle, of course, is one of the very old names, but it's got included in the F&O now. It'll start from the April month. MRPL, Fortis Healthcare, and Raymonds are some of the others, and Balrampur Chini from the sugar pack will also enter into the F&O pack. So these are 16 new additions. Of course, the additions would happen next week, but these are names that will be in focus today as well. There could be some amount of buying, some amount of selling if there is a lock-in, how we saw in Infibeam. There could be some amount of shorting activity, but for that you need the F&O contracts, which will be available after April 28th. So these 16 stocks will also be in focus. Sun TV and the banking sector is also something to watch out for. We should start getting prices anytime soon. Yes Bank will be in focus. It was showing a 5% pre-open decline by the time of close. So let's just see what it opens at. 6 points higher for the Nifty, no change. Aurobindo Pharma, 3 rupees higher. It was the top loser yesterday. Asian Paints absolutely flat, and SBI at about 283 odd levels. ICICI Bank down 2.5%. There are these concerns that what will happen to their NPA. Axis Bank is about 2 rupees down. Yes Bank is 3.5% down right now, 1,552. That's about 1.5 lakh shares traded for Yes Bank, 3% down. Would not be surprised if it recovers from here on, because this is a one-off, as we have been talking about, and it's not much that one can expect into this. Let's look at IndusInd Bank as well. That's down about 1% or so, 11 to 12 rupees lower right now. Not much, again, 1% sort of a decline. I think it's broadly the EPS cuts that have come in. Apart from that, it's not much that is reacting to. Sun TV is at 872, so that's 28 rupees higher, 3.5 to about 4% higher. Very, very strong move for Sun TV. Reliance Industries is up 1%. They've commissioned a new plant, but I think the management commentary on Monday is what the street would be waiting for. This plant is not one of the big triggers. It's the other plant where the contribution has been very, very high. That's Reliance for you. Some of these names which have got into F&O, again, volumes have not yet picked up. So Balakrishna Industries is up close to 1%, 1,420, 3,000 shares. NBCC is up 3%. Remember, this is a name which has done extremely well. 187, 188 for NBCC. That's about 1.5 lakh shares. Mahanagar Gas is up 2.6, 2.7. And, the list can just go on. There are about these 15, 16, stocks that have actually been included. That's Berger for you. GSFC has been included. Some of the other names have also been included. Sun TV is now up 6%, 889, 890 for Sun TV. So it's doing extremely well right now, 9% higher. Let's just pull up that name. Anisha, apart from Sun TV, any other name that you can identify?
Well, on the volume side, Treehouse is down 6.5%, and we have cuts coming in for JP Associates and ICICI Bank, down 3%. There are reports that the RBI wants banks to make higher provisioning for exposure to JP Associates. I don't know if that's related. JSPL is down 1.5%, but largely most stocks on the volume side are trading in the green at this point of time. We've got Sun TV, like you mentioned, up 4.5%. Balrampur Chini is up 4%. MRPL is up 3%. NBCC is up 3%. Bharat Financial Inclusion is up 2%. And Hathway Cables had a good run a day earlier. That one too is up about 2%. So some of the unusual names that are buzzing today. For now, the Nifty has had a good run, and in opening we are seeing the Nifty at 9123. It's up 0.25%. Gaurang, like you've seen, Yes Bank seems to be trimming the losses even in the first few minutes of trade. But ICICI Bank, that one's down 3%. We have a few guests that have been, negative on this company, and they put ICICI Bank and Axis Bank in the same category, saying that they can surprise, when it comes to the bad assets. What's your view on these two counters?
So, like I alluded to, both these banks earlier, well, our view is positive from a long term, and there has been problem, there has been legacy issue. There have been concerns on the quarter-on-quarter number, asset quality, provisioning, exposure to vulnerable sectors, as they call it, to infra, real estate, power and metals. Government policies and changes are put in place to revive and bring in a little bit of clarity and growth prospects to these three sectors. And not to forget, metals, power, infra and real estate, all four of them contribute to a sizable amount of the total NPA mess that is there on the balance sheet of not only private sector banks but also public sector banks. So our guess is that it's not that these two banks, in ICICI Bank and Axis Bank, will give you a great outperformance, but from where they are trading, your downside is extremely protected. Point number one. Point number two, if you are a short-term trader or a medium-term investor, you need to worry, because the upside is going to be capped on fallback of various reports that we have been reading and the commentaries that we are hearing. From a longer term, is there a possibility of turnaround? Well, we definitely think so, yes. And with that perspective, if you are holding on to it, you can continue to hold on. And if you get a lower level, maybe Axis Bank somewhere sub 460, 450, ICICI Bank closer to maybe 240, 250. I think these are some great levels to go and make a fresh investment and even add on to it in case if you have long-term capital to get invested in.
All right. Vishal, today we're seeing some action in Wipro and Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra has had quite a rough ride over the last 3 months. It's down about 14%. Though Wipro has stabilized and moved higher. How would you approach both these two counters?
I look at Tech Mahindra has a steady decline in the last 2 months, and it has gone from levels of around 510 to 410, which is quite a decline. But there's still no sign of accumulation or any bullish pattern or any kind of consolidation. So I would wait for Tech Mahindra to consolidate, although there is a very good support at around levels of 400 where it is right now. So where if it forms a consolidation pattern and accumulation pattern with volumes, then I can look at getting into Tech Mahindra, not before that. And compared to that, Wipro is showing good strength, and it is comparatively outperforming the IT stocks, IT sector, and there is an important support around 480, 85, where it is taking support right now. So, but although still the whole sector is not in any kind of momentum, or then as a trader, I would definitely not look at buying any of the stocks right now before we see any kind of a breakout or any kind of volume pattern, which I can see. Which we can see on when the top pick for the IT sector would be Wipro if it starts moving up. So definitely Wipro would be a better bet than Tech Mahindra right now.
What targets would you have for Wipro?
Wipro currently has a strong resistance around 510, 515. Once it gets through that, then we can have targets of 575 to 80 in the next few trading weeks.
All right. Gaurang, amongst the capital good names, do you like any? Do you think that once fourth quarter earning come through, you could see some surprises from any of the capital good makers?
Well, I don't think the environment has turned, constructive or positive for the cap goods engineering space, and there is still lack of evidence in terms of triggers for capex investment. And it's only then and then that you will see sizable amount of revival coming through. But yes, underperformance has been even in this sector for a very long time. And moment the economies across the globe and on the domestic front turn around, you will have investments going up, spending power and capability and capacities at a higher level will trigger that. So we remain positive on two cap goods engineering companies that I remember. One is L&T and the second one is Siemens.
Right, but do you think that capital goods, has to recover if economy has to grow? Without that, it's not possible?
Well, Pankaj, there are two aspects. One is replacement of old technology and equipments. And as, you go further and expose yourself to newer platforms, newer technologies, you need to equip yourself with those kind of advances. So that is one aspect. The second aspect wherein you will see larger earnings visibility is the new order market, and that seems to be not on a negative or a reverse stage, but fairly maybe in first or second gear. Now that needs to be pushed to third, fourth, and overdrive. So that's going to take some time.
Right. Vishal, what's your call on India Bull Real Estate? That's a name which has done well. It's around 140 right now.
I think in the last few trading sessions, it has given a stupendous move, and there's some kind of consolidation which I would like to see before I get into it again. So around levels of around 130 to 135, where it can come and consolidate for a few days and then form a bullish kind of reversals where I can expect to buy. Right now also it can be bought, but the risk reward ratio would not favor, especially for traders. So definitely I'll wait for a dip where I can buy this around 130, 135.
Right. Vishal, Sun TV is trading at a high. It's now up 6%. It's at the day's highest point. Do you think there are any levels to watch out for, or just ride the momentum? That should be the strategy?
Just ride the momentum. If you are already holding it, then definitely hold on with the trailing stop loss. But getting in at this levels again, as I said, would not fit into risk reward ratio. If I have to get in, I have to wait for a dip around 860 to 865 where I can get in. Otherwise, if you're holding, then you can hold on with the trailing stop loss. And we can look at targets of around 940 to 950. First target for 940 to 950 in the next couple of trading sessions.
Right. In terms of technology names, what are the levels to watch out for? Whether it's TCS, whether it's Infosys, what are the levels that you will watch out for?
As I mentioned, I'm looking at Wipro as being outperformer in the whole sector right now, and levels of around 510, 15 should be crossed, and before which we can see any kind of good momentum in Wipro. So then I would be interested to buy Wipro as my first bet in a technology sector.
Right. Gaurang, what's your call on the technology pack? Do you think that they are getting into the value zone, or still the earnings may be muted, so just stay away for a while?
Well, the question is, if the earnings are muted, then fair enough. But if the earnings have to deteriorate, then there could be price correction still left, Pankaj, in the IT. And our view was, and to be very honest, we have gone into the fourth quarter earnings with extremely flattish kind of expectation on Indian IT companies, and this view holds good for even the first and the second quarter of this fiscal. So that translates into broadly about 6-8 months of consolidation to sideways move in the IT pack, in case if they have to continue delivering what they have delivered with slight amount of improvement and not great deterioration. We remain positive on names like Infosys, TCS, HCL Tech. Today we'll have Santh coming out with numbers. We are positive on that as well. Tech Mahindra, Info Edge, NIT Technologies. These are some of the names. But Pankaj, again, you need to have, first of all, patience for the recovery to happen. And from the recovery stage, a little bit of growth visibility, and that may take anything between 1.5 year plus kind of time horizon. So unless you have that kind of time horizon, I think you should avoid IT. And in case if you do have, downside from here on looks extremely limited on fallback of correction. But in case, like I mentioned, if the numbers have to deteriorate, you may see some amount of more downside.
Right. What's your call on REC, PFC? REC is now 3% higher, back to the levels of 205.
Well, these are the stocks that we had identified long time back in terms of investment idea, Pankaj, point number one. Point number two, with the kind of government push for 24/7 power, additional capacities coming up, you have to remember one thing, that you need to transport or transmit or distribute this power from the generating facilities to the consumer end. And for that, you need power transmission distribution lines. Power grid is one of the stock investment idea. REC is the other one. Power Finance Corporation is the third one. And amongst the power generation names, we like NTPC, Tara Power, and CSC.
Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking out time for us. Just before we go, Gaurang, any disclosures?
Thanks, Pankaj and Amisha. No personal investment in any of the recommendations given by, but we give similar recommendations to our clients.
Vishal, for you?
No personal holdings in any of the stocks discussed today.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.